Board of Commissioners meeting is called to order at 6:02. Will Commissioner Lister please lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance?
I will, Madam Mayor. Please join me in a word of prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we seek blessings on the task before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for the city of Madeira Beach and our fellow citizens. It's always in your name we pray. Amen. Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will City Clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Hodges?
Here.
Commissioner Oakley?
Here.
Commissioner Lister?
Here.
Vice Mayor Douther?
Present.
Mayor Black?
Present. Before we get started, I believe Deputy Andrea Gamble would like to say a few words.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Commissioners and residents. I apologise for not posting yesterday's agenda on the website. There was a misunderstanding with myself and the IT folks regarding the posting of this meeting. I mistakenly sent them something else to post, thinking I sent the agenda. Although this was posted on the front door last week, Wednesday, I also publicly announced this meeting at our last BOC meeting on the 24th of October 2017. Going forward, we're going to have a more flexibility when it comes to posting items on our website, as the City Clerk's Office will be introducing a new agenda management program that will allow the City Clerk's Office to post their own agendas and minutes, and the public can see them. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Second. Any comments from the Commission? City staff? City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Oakley, was that you that seconded it? Or that was Hodges? Okay. Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Douther?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Next, we have approval of the minutes. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes as listed on the agenda.
I make an approval to approve the BOC workshop meeting 10/24/17.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any comments from the Commission? City staff? City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douther?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Next on the agenda, we have a presentation. I believe the Chief is going to be introducing this one.
Actually, Lieutenant Ermisher is going to make these introductions.
Lieutenant Todd Ermisher, Madeira Beach Fire Department. I'm here tonight to address a couple significant calls we had in the recent future. One of them was at Johns Pass. So I would like everybody from Eagle Parasail, Johns Pass, please come up to the podium. We all know that we never want to have an emergency happen, especially a life-threatening emergency. But in the event it does happen, we would want people to be calm, professional, and know how to handle emergencies. Fortunately, these gentlemen here were at the right place at the right time. Back on September 26th at Johns Pass, we had a tourist swimming. Got exhausted, caught in the current, taken out. Fortunately, the parasail crew here was at the right place at the right time, and they saw the emergency, heard, and they were able to come to the patient, drag him out of the water. He was full arrest. He was not breathing. He had no pulse. Obviously, very critical situation. Brain damage occurs within 4 to 6 minutes. The paramedics that respond also with them, we carry medication, we carry equipment to shock the heart. We can typically get the heart going again, but if they have brain damage, then they're not going to walk out of the hospital. So that's why CPR, quick response, is very important. These gentlemen recognized the emergencies, called, got them out of the water, CPR came to pass. One of the deputies that we recognized last meeting, he did CPR also. Plus we had our crew that was on duty show up and continued ACLS treatment, got him to the hospital. Obviously he was critical, but they actually got a pulse back, breathing, and fortunately within a couple days he was released with no permanent deficits whatsoever, which is amazing. It was an effort by everybody, and because of that, the gentleman is still alive and doing good. So we obviously have a lot of emergencies in the county every day. We don't give these awards out very often. It has to be something significant. It's an appreciation award from Pinellas County EMS and Fire Administration. It's signed by the medical director and also Craig Hare. Christine, Eagle Water Sports Parasail. On September 26, 2017, you assisted with the water rescue at Johns Pass Boardwalk for a swimmer in distress. Your outstanding efforts to coordinate, remove the victim from the water, and perform life-saving cardiopulmonary resuscitation is commendable. On behalf of the Pinellas County EMS and Fire Administration and the Office of the Medical Director, your extraordinary efforts are greatly appreciated. Also, Chris Kaplan, this is for you. Chaz. Thanks. Eric, it's for you. And we also have one for Brian Denneman. He's unable to be here tonight, but you guys can see to him that he gets that one. Again, thank you very much. And the second one that we want to appreciate was back on October 1st. I was up in North Reddington Beach. I'd like anybody that was involved in that call to please come up to the podium. Residents, family, I guess the officer that was on the call is not here tonight, I was told. But is there anybody here from that address? No? Okay. I'll go ahead and mention it. Back on October 1st, up in Reddington, North Reddington Beach, we had a call that came in. A 3-year-old boy basically was staying with the grandmother and unfortunately got out of the house, a locked door, and was found at the bottom of the pool. Obviously, that's a very intense situation. The family member started screaming. There was neighbors that heard the screams, came over, was able to get the child out of the pool and started CPR. There was also Deputy John Cronin that was in the area. He heard the screaming and he was there within a matter of a minute. They obviously activated 911. The fire department responded. The child was basically lifeless. He was purple. He was not breathing. He had no pulse. Due to the actions of the residents and Deputy John Cronin, by the time the fire department got there, the child actually did have a faint pulse and started to breathe on its own. Within 3 days, the child was released with no brain damage whatsoever. So these appreciations are for Pamela. She was one of the bystanders that did cardiopulmonary resuscitation on a child. She's not here today. And also, there's one here for Joseph Albino, was also a bystander that did CPR on the child prior to the fire department. And then Deputy John Cronin, who was on duty that day, that was in the area, that responded right away and also assisted prior to the fire department getting there. So I just wanted to mention them. They were unable to come tonight, but it's situations like that with good outcomes that means a lot to people that know what to do, stay calm, and do CPR prior to EMS getting there. So I wanted to thank everybody for that.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have an award to give to our Director of Finance. Will you join me at the podium? The award is the Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, and this is award certificate. Oh. This award certificate, excuse me, is for a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. It's to the City of Madeira Beach, and accepting on this on behalf of the Finance Department is Director Walt Pierce. And the certificate says, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Reporting, presented to the City of Madeira Beach for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2016.
I would just like to say I'm accepting this for the Finance Department. Patrick Cady is one of the best accounting managers that I've seen. Karen Paulson is our HR payroll person. Donna, our assistant, and Chris Tarkington. He's our parking enforcement guy, and he's been doing some great things in finance too. So I accept this on behalf of them.
All right. We also have an award from the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, and this is awarding a financial reporting achievement to the Finance Department of City of Madeira Beach. The award of financial achievement is presented by the Government Finance Officers Association to the individuals designated as instrumental in their government unit achieving a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. A Certificate of Achievement is presented to those government units whose annual fiscal reports are judged to adhere to the program standards and represents the highest award in government financial reporting. So right now, this is all I have. Thank you. All right, before we open the floor for public comment, I believe Chief O'Neill would like to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a little bit out of order, but it might be a nice segue into our public comment section. As you know, it's been a very difficult 6 months for us here as city government. We've gone through a lot of changes back and forth, and it's important to note that I was never part of this vacancy position in the city manager's coming available. The only thing that I have done during this time is try to assist the city in its management and its general direction. But during that entire time, my focus has always been, and my comments to you have always been, that if there was something that was going to occur that was going to affect my my fire department retirement salary, which I've been part of for the last 30 years, that I would not be interested in this position. About 2 months or so ago, I reached out to Rick Palmer from Raymond James Financial to seek his guidance on this, because the FRS system, the Florida retirement system, has a lot of stipulations that are in place there. He assured me that my fire department retirement would be fine. He had contacted Tallahassee twice to confirm that information on 2 different occasions. After accepting the position of city manager, about 2 months ago, I was contacted again by Tallahassee, who advised me by one of their senior advisors that that was not accurate information that I received. Not only was it not accurate, but they were going to freeze my retirement. They were going to freeze my assets. They were not going to be investable. They would not be subject to the deferred compensation plan. I reached back out to Tallahassee to confirm what my options were, and they said the option was to return back to a fire department status. So with that said, in this letter that you can read, I have submitted my resignation as city manager for the city of Madeira Beach, and I've requested to go back into the fire service. The acting city manager, Dave Marsicano, has been gracious enough to allow me that privilege. So I just wanted to give you an update and let you know what was going on and answer any questions that you may have.
I believe, first of all, it's deputy, not acting.
Deputy, there you go, excuse me.
Darrell, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the original contract that you signed with the city when you became city manager, it was signed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in the resignation letter, is there a clause that you need to put in the letter stating that you're releasing the city of the responsibilities that were put in the original contract?
I would have to refer that to the city attorney. I'll sign whatever is necessary at this point.
I have not reviewed that contract since we've signed it. I can certainly take a look at it and advise you on that, but I don't believe there's anything under the resignation section that would be required that he sign something to release the city of any obligations underneath the contract. It was a pretty straightforward contract. If he has the right to resign. Once he resigns, he's no longer underneath the contract. So the contract then ceases as of the date of his resignation, as does his position as city manager with the city. But I will double check on that and I will let you know.
Thank you.
So you said you found out 2 months ago? Is that what you just said?
Something like that, yes, sir. It's been, don't quote me on the exact dates when I first contacted Raymond James.
How long have you been city manager? This is just 2 weeks, right?
Oh, yes, sir, this has been 2 weeks, yes, and that was confirmed
I'm confused. I really am. I don't understand. If you knew this was about to happen or it was going to happen 2 months ago, how could you accept the position 2 weeks ago?
Raymond James Financial advised me, if you'd read the letter that I attached, it'll explain that to you, that Raymond James advised me that that was not going to be the case and that I would be free and clear of all the requirements associated with the Florida retirement system. 2 weeks ago, that's when I got the last word from the Florida retirement system. We've had conference calls since then. I've contacted attorneys. I've contacted Tallahassee several times. Raymond James Financial has given me a letter saying that yes, that this was what was confirmed with them twice, and now the state of Florida has revisited that, we'll say, and their senior advisor has told us that what we were told was inaccurate information.
So, Deputy City Manager, you had a meeting with the chief and decided that he should go back to being chief?
Yes, sir, I did. I've worked with the chief since I came to Madeira Beach for the last 15 years and was here when he came back and has been a good fire chief for us, and I believe in his continued abilities to do that.
Do you have any aspirations to be city manager?
Absolutely not.
I asked that same question to Darrell, and he said he didn't. So I'm not sure if you're going to change either. So
No, I won't change. Trust me. I like picking up trash and selling gas, sir.
Okay. I'm with you, David. Okay.
I'm 100%. I'm that guy.
Again, David, you're no city manager. I've said that.
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. All right.
I'm not going to fight you on that one.
All right. I know you're not. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'm at a loss of words. I guess I wasn't quite ready for this. I didn't know it was going to happen.
Do you want me to stay?
Nope.
Okay. Then, yeah, this went out in the agenda packet actually on Friday. So you should have had that information well in advance. So, and I did reach out to you several times and without contact back. So
I have you under new business.
I have that's a separate item, sir.
Okay.
And I apologize that I didn't communicate better with you with that information.
So do we have to vote on his resignation?
No, he can resign at any time. I believe he has already resigned. My understanding is that he resigned effective yesterday, and then the deputy city manager hired him back as the fire chief as effective today.
Yes, ma'am.
So no, that doesn't need to be approved by the commission.
All right.
So at this point, do we make a motion for an interim city manager?
No, not at this point. There's an agenda item for that further down on the agenda. This was just something that, this is before public comment. This was just something that was impromptu.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Chief, for that explanation. Is there any more discussion? Thank you. I'm sorry? Anyway, the floor is now open for public comment. Please remember to be respectful and state your full name and address.
Just give them to the city clerk, they'll pass it out. No, the city clerk will pass them out. Just give them all to her. Okay.
We did it. Uh-huh.
My name's Tom Wally. I live at 60 137th Avenue Circle in Madeira Beach, Florida, 33708. I've had much correspondence with most of the people that sit on the commission here, and welcome to the new people that are here. And sorry to see you go, Daryl. It's going to be a big loss for the city. It's a shame that they couldn't work that out. But anyway, what I've done is I've given you all a copy of the information that I'm about to read. In early January, I was prosecuted for a code violation. Because I was only given 2 weeks' notice right before the holidays, I couldn't get an attorney on such short notice. I asked for a continuance in advance, but I was denied. I was forced to represent myself at the city hearing. The city attorney, Tom Krast, denied me my right to record the public hearing. The city clerk at the time failed to record the hearing as well. So I had no choice but to appeal all of this to the circuit court, which is, it's in appeal right now. And the judge has just given us another 30 days to try to get this thing straightened out. The judge issued an order telling the city's attorney to get a special magistrate and meet with my attorney, and that all three of them had to recreate the record that the city attorney stopped me from recording. My attorney and the city's attorney, Erica, over here, realized that complying with the court's order is going to be time-consuming and expensive. So my attorney suggested that if the city gave me a new hearing with due process, like I was asked for in January, I would dismiss my appeal with the circuit court. I even offered to plead guilty so the city could avoid holding the hearing entirely if a reasonable fine was imposed. I had asked the city clerk months ago, and so has my attorney, to tell me the amount of the fine from the January hearing. No one knows how much it is. We never got an answer. So Erica wanted me to admit guilt and pay a $914 fine, which she says was the cost of the January hearing. And I agreed to that. All I had asked is for the magistrate's order from the January hearing, in which I was denied due process, be thrown out, and a new one issued that states, I am guilty, and I have to pay $914. I have also been willing to put in the agreement that if I'm ever cited again, it can be as a repeat offender. But for absolutely no reason, the city attorney refuses. This is ironic because if we don't do this by agreement, the city attorney says there will be a new hearing. And if that happens, the old January order would be voided anyway. The only difference is that the city is going to have to pay its attorney to prosecute, pay a magistrate to hear the case, and pay a code officer. Time consuming for all of those people. And if the attorney this time, and if I have an attorney this time, the city risks losing the case and the $914. I hope that somebody here sees that this useful refusal of the city attorney makes no sense. Madeira Beach desperately needs an in-house attorney who cares more about code compliance than punishment, and who isn't trying to make things more difficult just so they can charge the city for more hours of work. This could have been completely settled over a month ago and it cost the city a lot less in fees.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Thank you. There's an attachment in the back of the agreement that we hashed out, and they refused to sign it. Thank you for all your service.
We can't do anything about that now. Yes.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Anything that's not on the agenda?
Robert Preston, 425 South Bayshore Drive, Madeira Beach. First of all, I'm with Respect Mad Beach, and I've had some dealings with our new city clerk, Clara Van Bargen. She's been very courteous and polite and helpful and very professional, so she needs to be commended for that. Second, I know that you're aware that Respect Mad Beach has turned in petitions for recall on Nancy Oakley and John Douthert. 480 for Nancy, 469 for John. As soon as we get the answer back from the supervisor of elections, we'll go on to stage 2. But hopefully you two will see the light and decide to resign and save the city a lot of money and let the city go back to thriving again. Third, I was just wondering what it cost for the city attorney to give an opinion on a Saturday during King of the Beach when we had signs posted out there. Walter Pierce called the attorney to get an opinion whether I should pull the signs or not. And signs started getting pulled, so I found out who was doing it, and I went and saw Mr. Pierce. We had a conversation, but his was much louder than mine because people over at Winn-Dixie were hearing him yell at me, just for your information. So I found that pretty interesting that he can't control himself very well. And the other thing, the budget director also called the sheriff's department to guard the double doors into where all the city staff is when 3 ladies aged 59, 67, and 81, and 2 men aged 65, myself, and another man 65 wearing shorts and a t-shirt to keep us from terrorizing the people behind the double doors. But he was also willing to send out the city clerk as the sacrificial lamb to talk to us. That's pretty interesting. So you need to know that this guy is not a really special guy. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Steve Kochick, 15301 2nd Street East, Madeira Beach. I'd like to thank you very much for bringing back the public comment to a reasonable time in the meeting so that we have an opportunity to express things that aren't covered on the agenda. The other thing is I owe the city attorney an apology. I owe the board an apology. At the last meeting, there was an item on the agenda about a property that was a redevelopment property. And I had made some comments. When I went home, I looked at the redevelopment ordinance, and I was wrong. What the city attorney said was correct as far as the people who are allowed to speak and when they are allowed to speak. So I want to apologize to the board and to the city attorney. I learned a lesson that you make sure you look up before you go to the meeting, not after the meeting. And will there be comment later? Will there be, is the city manager situation going to come up again at the end? Because this was a change in the, it was supposed to be new business. Then it was popped in. And then there was no time for public comment on the city manager situation. But that was my comment. Thank you. I still got one for you. One, your meeting yesterday was not posted anywhere. It was not posted where I could see it. It wasn't on the wall. It wasn't on the door in City Hall. I came Sunday. The meeting tonight was posted, but yesterday's conference was not posted. Monday, I went to the library, looked in there. I had to bring a book back. There was no posting in there. I know it's new. There's a lot of things going on and all, but there are people, you got to follow things. You got to post your meetings. And even though when you put on here, it was posted at a certain date, that doesn't mean anything. There was nothing posted as of Sunday. As for the conference, it was posted Monday morning when I came back at 10 o'clock. Then it was up. But it wasn't there Sunday. So obviously it wasn't there over the weekend, which means it wasn't there in enough time, 24 hours. Just to let you know, there are people that are watching. Just do it. It's simple. Post it when it's got to be posted.
Yes.
Yes, I will. Okay.
Hello, you can hear me? All right. Here we go. Stephen Barrett, 11975 3rd Street East, Unit 2, Treasure Island, Florida. I'm here to clear my name because people accused me. I'm the guy that called Shane Crawford and told him he was fired. All right. I said nothing other than that. I was never arrested. I was never prosecuted because I never did it. All right. Jay Herbert came up here and he defamed my character, and I was never arrested and prosecuted, and he said it. And that's bad for an attorney, and he's the one that's like doing the whole recall thing. You go to his website and you click on links that he was on this show and he was on that show, and it shows up no information on this site. He's a liar. He's a weasel, all right? This whole recall thing, don't fear these people. Most people try and move away from fear, try and organize it out of their lives as soon as they're able. Me, I cultivate it, I try and recognize it, order it, and I use it. It's how you survive, okay? Nobody wants to kill Shane Crawford. No, me nor anybody wants to rape Cheryl Crawford. Not even Bill Cosby, okay? And for the record, you need to drug test your employees. All of them. They're getting 401ks, they're getting benefits. If they're driving around in your city vehicles and they rear-end somebody, it's a major lawsuit. I'd start with Dave Marchicano, personally. I went fishing with Doug Spieler Jr. He's the one from Spieler Companies that was the main contractor for this city that I'm pretty sure was passing money around to Travis Palladino and other people. All right? He admitted to me on the boat that on his lunch break, he smokes a joint. It takes the edge off for the rest of the day. Well, he may do his job, but if he has to do drugs to do his job, you may want to drug test him. And I'd probably do it like this week. I wouldn't wait like 30 days for him to clean a system. I'd probably do that right away. Also, I have a lot of information. This is going to take a couple meetings, so the paper I just handed you guys, those are people that are making threats on me within the city. You can read it. It's one of my customers on Johns Pass Avenue, Dr. Alistair McNeil and Dr. Teresa Perez. They no longer want me doing business with them because they said it's a matter of my life and people want to hurt me. for me coming up here the last time I spoke. So their phone number's there, call them. I mean, I'm not the one making threats, they are. And it's right there in a text message just to prove it. So there you are. I threw in a couple extra copies for Commissioner Lister in case he wants to rip them up, throw them on the ground, throw them in the Gulf. I don't care what you do with them. You've done it before, you may do it again. Just don't throw them down that canal. It's been polluted enough. Oh, I got 18 seconds left. Thank you. Have a good one.
Anyone else? All right, public comment is now closed. Next on the agenda, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. First one is a payment to Ashbrit and Company for Hurricane Irma debris removal. Second one is renewal of contract agreement with Park Street Antique Center, Susky Consulting, and Steve M. Lewis, records retention. And then for a capital equipment purchase of a new vehicle for the building department and a purchase of a Elgin Whirlwind street sweeper for the Public Works.
Mayor, there's a fourth
There's
item.
a fourth one on the next page.
Oh, that's right, it's next page. And the last one is the truth in millage or the trim certificate. Saying that, can I have a motion to approve?
I so move, Madam Mayor.
Second.
I have a question.
Well, consent agenda generally does,
We can discuss what's on the consent agenda.
Absolutely.
If we don't, I would have pulled it all off.
I was going to say,
But
Commissioner Lee,
we-
did you want to pull anything from the consent?
Yeah, I pulled a car off. The
Okay.
purchase of the new truck for one, because I want to discuss it.
We can pull that off and we can move that to the end of the agenda
That's fine.
and discuss it then. And then we can,
Well,
if that's the only item you want to pull.
I'd pulled some things off in an earlier consent agenda, and Commissioner Lister said we can discuss these within the consent agenda, so that's why I just left it on there when we approved the agenda.
And I think we can.
That's
I mean-
fine. I mean, typically, if you want to have an in-depth discussion about it as a consent agenda, I would suggest pulling an item from this consent agenda to put it later on the agenda so that it can be
That's
discussed.
fine. I mean, either way,
and
I want
voted
to
on
discuss this
separately.
truck, the purchase of this truck.
But it was, we discussed it when we put it in the budget.
Right, but I found out additional information about it, so I would like to discuss it.
Yeah, so there's already been an agenda made to approve the consent agenda, so there can be discussion that unless that motion is going to be withdrawn, it needs to be voted on. So we can certainly discuss, you can discuss the consent agenda, but then there will have to be a vote on the motion. Or that motion can be withdrawn, we can move that one item to the end, and there can be a new motion made to accept the consent agenda as amended. It's up to the commission.
Is that what you'd like to do?
I'll just discuss
So
it.
whoever made the motion would be the one that have to withdraw.
Again, we can talk about it.
Okay.
We can talk about it right now.
Okay.
Without
Okay.
having to amend this motion, without having to do anything. We can talk about this.
Okay. Number one, what I found is this vehicle that they want to replace, it's, I believe it's Vehicle 90, is not in the capital improvement vehicle replacement plan. So it's not even listed there. And then on the backup for the purchase of it, it states that that was surplus 2 years ago. Well, if it's surplus 2 years ago, then why is it now showing up that we're just now getting rid of it again? It got moved for 2 more years, and now they're trying to get us to buy another new vehicle by replacing the same vehicle we replaced in 2015. And it just didn't make sense to me. So now are they going to take this vehicle and push it somewhere down the line, and 2 years later we're going to replace the same vehicle again? I don't understand that process.
Just for clarification, the truck in question for the building department is in the budget. It's in the capital improvement, CIP.
It is in that one budget, but it's not in the CIP vehicle budget. This one back here, in the back of the budget.
The new truck for
The
building.
new truck is in there.
Right.
The old truck is not
Right.
listed in here because it was supposed to be surplus 2 years ago in 2015.
Yes.
And
when
we
they
did
took it
not
out
surplus that vehicle because we had to hang on to it and did not purchase the vehicle. Now we're asking to purchase the vehicle.
So they didn't buy a new vehicle 2 years ago, is what they're saying?
Wait, the vehicle was in Public Works and it moved to parking. So you're saying you didn't purchase a new vehicle in 2015 for that? Okay, I'll look that one up. Okay, I was just curious as to how this process all works, because it looks like we're taking the same car and every 2 years trying to recycle it to get a new one.
Debbie Laramie drives a 1987 Ford.
That's not the vehicle we're talking about.
I understand that, but we keep our vehicles and try to get the best use out of them as we can.
All right.
The way that went to the building department,
from Public Works, you're right.
Right.
It went from Public Works to Building Department. Right. Okay. That's what I want to put out there.
Okay. So we can leave it in there?
You can leave it in there.
Okay.
So just to clarify, you're going to surplus that, right, David?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So we have a first and a second?
We do.
All right. Any discussion? There is no, we've already had a discussion. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Madam Mayor, public comment.
Public comment?
I'm sorry?
Public comment.
I thought that wasn't done for the consent agenda.
You've done it typically, traditionally in the past, so I would say if you've done it in the past, we continue with it.
Okay. All right, public comment? All right, public comment is now closed.
Okay.
Will the city clerk please read the roll?
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douther?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Okay. Next, we have a public hearing for Resolution 2017-12.
A resolution of the Board of Commissioners for the City of Madeira Beach, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2017 budget by decreasing capital outlay expenditures in the amount of $3,287,269.22, amending the fiscal year 2018 budget by increasing the capital outlay expenditures in the amount of $3,287,269.22, and provided for an effective date, read by title only. Walt.
Mayor and commissioners, this is, the intent of this resolution is to maintain the funding for various capital projects that would otherwise be impacted by the fiscal year closing process. The specific allocation to individual projects will not change. Rather than the project's budgetary balances will be carried forward from one fiscal year to the next. So the total of the $3,287,269.22 will be removed from fiscal year 2017 and reappropriated to fiscal year 2018. This has been the same process due to the makeup of our financial software system. We've done this for the past couple of years. These balances for these capital projects do not roll over automatically. In some systems they do, in ours they don't. This has no impact to long-term fund balance. And as the Exhibit A indicates on the back of this resolution, $86,463.27 will be removed from 2017 and added to 2018 for the city center. $1,034,823.74 will be removed from 2017 and added 2018, and that's again for the Gulf Boulevard improvements, utility undergrounding. The transient dock construction for St. John's Pass Village will be $265,355 will be reduced from 2017 and added to 2018. Seawall improvement, also general fund, and the previous three I mentioned were also from the general fund. $15,000 will be reduced from 2017 and $15,000 will be added to 2018. Madeira Way improvements that will be in the lost fund is $73,582 will be reduced from 2017 and added to 2018. The storage facility design for sanitation will be reduced by $40,000 from 2017 and added to 2018. The stormwater rehabilitation and repair in the stormwater fund of $191,905.70 will be reduced from 2017, and the same amount added to 2018. And stormwater drainage and roadway improvements, the stormwater fund, $1,580,139.51. Again, that will be reduced from 17 and added to 2018. And the total of all this is $3,287,269.22. One correction to my memo, which was attached to this, the transient dock construction reduction should have been $265,355. But that amount is correct in a resolution document.
Okay. Any discussion from the board?
Just to clarify, Walt, these are unused funds from 2017, and you're
Yes.
going to push them into 2018.
Yep.
Don't we have a section in our charter that does that automatically? I mean, it tells you can do that. You don't need a resolution from this board
I think,
to do that.
You know, I think in the past, they've done it this way in the interest of transparency to make sure that, you know, these are going to show up as transfers in to the new budget.
Right.
So when I give you another picture of the general fund or all funds budget, maybe in the next couple of months, you know, you'll see these numbers in there. So I think Vince, my predecessor, did it the same way, and that's the way I choose to do it too.
These funds are in the 18 budget right now.
After your approval of this, these reductions we made in 2017 and the increases will be made in 18. They're not in 18 right now.
So you
We
haven't,
wanna
you haven't
get-
moved $3.2 million.
To get them into 18, yes.
You haven't moved that.
No.
Where's it at? It's in these funds?
Right now, it's
in
still
these
in
funds.
17. We want to reduce these balances in 17
So
and
you're
put them in
gonna-
18.
You're going to increase our 2018 budget by $3.2 million.
Yes, and again, the same maneuver was done the previous fiscal years consistently the last 3 or 4 years. So it's nothing new that I'm doing here.
Right.
It's been done in the past.
Right.
And it was approved by the previous council last year.
Yeah, again, in the charter on section 10.6.
And I can give you that document if you so wish,
Which document's that?
from last year.
Where we did a budget amendment?
Yes, where we did the same thing. I can give you a copy of that. You can have it tomorrow.
I would like a copy of that, yes.
I can get that to you.
Okay.
In fact, I will share it to all council.
But again, I just want to reiterate that in section 10.6 of our charter, it says, at the close of each fiscal year, the unencumbered balance of each appropriation shall.
These are not
revert to
encumbrances,
respective-
Commissioner. These are not encumbrances. These are remaining balances.
They're unencumbered, right? They're unencumbered balances of each appropriation shall revert to the respective funds. So it's
Right.
just saying, if it's left over from this year, it'll go to the next year automatically. It's already saying that. So
again, in the
you're just doing this to cover your tail, right?
I don't think it's to cover anybody's tail. It's just to, in the interest of transparency,
Okay,
to indicate to you
I'm
those
just concerned that I've
projects.
lost $3.2 million is my concern. Well, what didn't I know that I had $3.2 million laying in these funds in the 2018 budget when I was going through that? Maybe it's stupid on my part. Yes, okay, I'm guilty. I shouldn't have misplaced $3.2 million is what I'm saying. It's terrible fiscal
the word
policy on my
misplaced,
part.
the word misplaced isn't, I don't think is the right word.
Well, I just don't see how you can increase a 2018 budget by $3.2 million.
Well, again, Commissioner, we've done this the same way the last 3 years, and again, I can provide you that document, and it was approved by the previous council.
You're going to have to set me down and educate me on this one, Walter. Okay?
I will.
All right, thank you on that.
Any more discussion? All right, public comment?
I'm just, Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore. I was just wondering, where was that 3.2 million allocated for this year?
It wasn't allocated for this year. That's what he did, is move it into this year.
said he's moving it from this year into 18.
No, this is really a time for public comment, and, you know,
I was asking.
I appreciate that. Any more comments from the public? Public comment is now closed. This time I'd like to entertain a motion to consider Resolution 2017-12.
You looking for a motion?
Motion.
Oh, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2017-12.
I'll second it.
Any comments from the commission or staff?
I just don't understand it, Walter, and so I'm going to vote against it. I know I don't want to let my cat out of the bag beforehand, but once we get together, maybe you can explain this a little bit more.
And Commissioner, you're free to call me anytime you want.
Thank you. I just wanted to make that comment before my vote. A lot of people out here don't understand why I vote no. I don't vote no every time just because I don't like these guys. I don't. I really don't. Sometimes I do, but no, most of the time I don't.
Commissioner,
Okay?
I'm doing nothing.
I'm voting no tonight because I don't understand. And when you don't understand something, vote no. You can always say, I was wrong. I'll change my vote.
And
right now, I'm going to vote no. That's
and Commissioner,
all that needs to be said.
I would really appreciate anything that you don't understand about the budget. Please call me. I mean, I've been on Saturday mornings, and you've even walked by my office. You can call. You know where I am anytime.
I know, Walter.
And I'd be glad to explain anything to you. I'm not doing anything different here.
I'm not accusing you of doing anything underhanded, Walter. I'm just saying Lister doesn't understand.
And please call me if you don't.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? The city clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Oakley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthat,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges,
Yes.
Commissioner Lister,
No.
Mayor Black.
Yes. Next, we have ordinance 2017-12, the first reading of ordinance 2017-12. Madam Attorney.
Ordinance 2017-12, an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners for the City of Madeira Beach, Pinellas County, Florida, amending the budget for fiscal year 2017 beginning October 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2017 by appropriating funds for increasing general fund expenditures and increasing debt service fund budget. Whereas the City of Madeira Beach Board of Commissioners has approved an annual budget for fiscal year 2017, and whereas the City of Madeira Beach Board of Commissioners desires to amend an annual budget for fiscal year 2017, and whereas Florida Statutes 166.241 authorizes the governing body of a municipality to amend a budget within 60 days following the end of the fiscal year, and now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, Section 1, the Board of Commissioners authorizes the budget for fiscal year 2017 to hereby be amended to reflect an increase in the general fund budget in the amount of $938,345.25. See Exhibit A. Section 2, the Board of Commissioners authorizes the budget for fiscal year 2017 to hereby be amended to reflect an increase in the debt service fund budget in the amount of $638,981.25. See Exhibit A. Section 3, the Board of Commissioners authorizes management to allocate the budget amendment pursuant to the account level detail provided as Exhibit A. Section 4, Ordinance 2017-12 shall become effective immediately upon final adoption by the Board of Commissioners.
So Mayor, Commissioners, this is cleanup work that we usually do at the end of the year. We look at all the accounts and departments that have been impacted this previous year. And the budget amendment for the general fund includes, and I'll go line by line here, an additional an amount of $7,110 for additional city attorney non-retainer work. We had a legal case settlement of $139,250. We had finance director overlap and the finance upgrade was done by the previous city manager, $17,923. A settlement from a previous employee that impacted salaries in the general fund, $36,954, and settlement for the same employee that impacted professional services, $26,937. We had additional computer IT work that was done of $19,669. We had a hurricane during last year. We had debris removal and the removal of the cleanup. Part of this was in the consent agenda. That totals $51,521. I will say, and break a little bit from this, that we have been in contact with FEMA. We're in the process of putting together all the documentation for them. We have spent on the hurricane, which includes this figure, probably close to a little over $150,000. So, and that's still growing a little bit. So we're complying with FEMA. We have an agent that's been assigned to us, and we're doing everything that that agent. We had a good meeting about a week and a half ago, and we're doing everything that that agent has asked us to do. We have another meeting set up for next week, and we're hoping that we get some of this back. There was a transfer to debt service for a bond prepayment of $638,981, and the total of that impacts the general fund, as Erica indicated, is $938,345.25. The debt service adjustment of a prepaid debt payment, and actually what happened here is we had a debt payment on a bond that was due October 1st. October 1st was a Sunday, so we had to make this payment on the 28th or 29th, and so that's why this shows up as a prepayment. That's why this budget for the debt service was exceeded. So we are putting an amount for principal of $538,000, and then the interest that goes with that is $100,981.25 for a total of $638,981.25. So just to be clear here, the previous resolution had no impact on fund balance. This budget amendment does have an impact on fund balance. I will say at this point, this is no indication of what the fund balance will be. We are going to be working with the auditors in the next couple of weeks, and we probably won't know what the true balance for the general fund balance is probably till the first week in January.
Thank you. Any more comments from Commission?
Yes, I'm sort of in the same boat, Walter, and I just need to know the hurricane debris removal. I think Senator Bill Nelson sent out an email yesterday or today that was going to have a deadline of like the 25th of November. Do we have a deadline to get our reimbursement paperwork in?
We've complied with all the deadlines that FEMA has required of us, and like I said, we had a good meeting with our agent who's been assigned. Dave was there and Daryl, and we're doing all the right things that that person wants. And again, we have another meeting next week, so we are complying with everything that's being required.
So you believe that we're within our deadline to put it in, is what you're
yes.
saying? Yes. Okay, fine. The bond repayment or the debt repayment, which one does that repay? I'm not sure on which one we're repaying. The capital improvement?
I think it's the series. I think it's the series 2013, but I'll have to get that to you.
The capital improvement bond?
Yeah.
That's
again, that's just a timing issue of where the payment was due on the 1st. Even our auditor doesn't understand why payments are due the first day of the fiscal year. And we've also gone over all of these figures with our auditors.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad they're up to speed, but I'm not.
I'm just saying. I can question the same thing on this bond.
Keep me up to speed. I don't know exactly what we're paying off here, and if you just tell me I'm paying the capital improvement bond 2013 off, that's fine. You know, I just didn't want to pay the infrastructure sales surtax revenue note off of 2016 because that interest rate was at 1.59. So I don't know why we would pay off. I know we're not, but I was just making sure that we weren't paying this one off because there's such a low interest rate on it. Why would we pay it off now?
It's not It's not paying off, it's prepaying a payment.
Prepaying, so
Yes.
you're paying ahead. When I call prepay, I pay it ahead.
Okay, one more time. The payment was due according to the bond schedule.
Right.
On October 1st.
Right.
We didn't want to wait till October 1st. And so we paid it on the 28th. So that's a prepayment. You're paying that,
Like of 3 days.
yes.
Didn't you say October 1st was Sunday, and you had to pay it before?
Right. It was due on a Sunday, and we paid that on a Friday.
Is there a penalty if we pay it late? Is that what they're saying?
I never want to make a payment on a bond late. In fact, the bondholder sent me an email and said, I hope you're not using the hurricane as an excuse to miss this payment. And I can share that with you.
That's a mean person.
Well,
That's just a mean person.
well, they don't mess around when you're talking about.
No, I'm with you. We owe them $4 million. I understand. Okay. Again, I'm going to vote no, only because I don't completely understand. I'm going to get there, I'm sure, but that being said, thank you.
Well, and again, one more time, Commissioner, with the auditors coming in, actually, they're coming in this week. I went over all these figures and that prepayment with the auditor. He shared my pain as much as I did when I had to do that.
My question is, you know, you paid it early, but it was budgeted for the 2018. So we're short there, but we're over in 2018.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yes.
what I kind of, when I saw that, that's what
It's
I
just
kind of thought.
it's a timing issue.
Yeah, okay.
Any more discussion from the board? Staff? Floor is now open for public comment.
Robin Pulaski, 131st Ave, here in Madeira Beach. According to my quick figures from Mr. Pierce as he was talking quickly, we paid as a city almost $64,000. I have like $63,891 in regard to salaries that we paid for this commission, getting rid of the city manager and the former city clerk. Is that what those two salaries were for?
Those two salaries that I mentioned was settlement to the previous clerk.
Clerk?
The settlement for the ex-city manager and the clerk.
Right.
That was just for the clerk. One of the advantages that we had, Darrell came over and was working at his same salary in the city manager's position as he was in the fire department. So and actually the payout to the previous city manager in that settlement really did not hurt that department at the time because we were paying Darrell at a low salary.
Okay. Okay.
So the settlement that we gave to the previous city manager with Darrell's low salary,
Even.
yes.
So we were very fortunate on that. So we paid out $64,000 then to the city clerk. What is the revenue that the city brings in for each penny on the tax rate? Approximately how much is that for the city of Madeira Beach? How much revenue is generated by each penny if we were to raise the tax?
Each penny?
Yeah, a penny on the tax rate.
I would probably have to get back to you, ma'am, on that. I wouldn't want to give you an exact number.
Well, when I was a county commissioner, we raised a penny on about 80,000 people, and it would generate about $120,000. Now, I'm sure it would be less than us. But paying out a salary for that, for changing staff, is got to be. I would be very anxious to know that, if you could get back to me what a penny generates. On 139,000 legal fees, what were those legal fees that were paid out that have increased the general fund?
The 139,000?
Yeah.
Robin, excuse me. It really is not a time to be discussing these things. It's a public comment.
But I haven't seen them.
I understand that, but you can ask it later. You can talk to them.
Shouldn't the people know? I mean, when you
Yes, they should. They
resolution
should.
to
They should.
increase the general fund.
However, the rules are, it's public comment, not discussion.
I'd be glad to meet with you after the meeting.
I would be glad to know about that, because that is startling to know for a city our size, this increase on that.
Any more public comment? All right, the floor is now closed for public comment. This time I'll entertain a motion to, for ordinance 2017-12.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance 2017-12.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more comments from commission or staff?
Yes, I'm sorry, could you repeat it one more time? What was the payout for the city clerk?
By the way, this isn't the exact payout for the city clerk. This is the overage amount in that particular line item. So the line item for salaries and wages went over by, for salaries and wages that impacted the clerk was 36,954, and then because there was another aspect where another additional payout or an additional agreement to that individual, we paid out another 26,937. And again, the reason why we didn't incur this in the city manager's account is, again, because Darrell came in at the city manager position at his existing salary. So the payout that was experienced there in that settlement, as was indicated, evened out, and it was no impact to the city manager's budget. But the clerk's budget was such a small budget, it couldn't really handle that impact.
Any more discussion? Comments from staff? Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Commissioner Douthat?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
No.
Commissioner Lister?
No.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Next, we have a second, under unfinished business, we have a second reading of ordinance 2017-09, which is regarding medical marijuana dispensaries. Madam Attorney.
Ordinance 2017-09, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, repealing and replacing Division 14, Section 110-940, medical marijuana dispensaries of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Madeira Beach, providing for the prohibition of the siting of medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities within the incorporated limits of the City of Madeira Beach, providing for legislative intent, finding the amendments consistent with the City Comprehensive Plan, providing for severability, providing for the recognition of state preemption, and providing for an effective date by title only. And I can answer any questions. There's nothing changed from this ordinance from first reading to second reading.
I make a motion this commission pass ordinance 2017-09 on second reading.
A second.
Any discussion from the board?
Just that, you know, that we voted for this already. I think it was a unanimous vote that we were going to ban these from the city. And, you know, that's a slippery slope that we've started down, but I still believe that it's a good decision for the city. I know there's several other cities within the state of Florida that has started this, and, you know, I don't know if it's going to try to be superseded by Tallahassee or not, but I'm sure they're going to see if they can. But it is a right that has been taken away from an individual, and that being said, that doesn't make me happy to have to do this as far as not having the medical marijuana dispensaries inside the city limits of Madeira Beach, because then we're going to go with let's not have any head shops inside the city of Madeira Beach, let's not have any gas stations inside the city of Madeira Beach. I mean, again, it's a slippery slope that we've started down here. I voted for it the first time, and again, I had not an epiphany, but you know, I just need to start explaining a little more why I vote and the reasons that I do vote. So I did vote for this ordinance the first time, and I will vote for it the second time. But again, I think it's starting to take away some rights of some individuals within this sovereign nation.
Any more discussion from the board or staff? All right, the floor is now open for public comment. Yes, sir.
Steve Kochick, 15301 2nd Street East, Madeira Beach. Like I said before, this is something that the people voted for, majority of the people voted for. This is strictly regulated. I spend a lot of time in Oregon now, so I'm speaking from experience that these places are not anything, it's not a head shop or anything. These places are professional. They're like your corner drugstore and all. I would much rather have that than a bar, because don't tell me that a bar is good. And since 1930s, when this marijuana was prohibited, we've had 0 deaths of anybody smoking marijuana. And you're talking here that people need it. The only thing I would like to say is if you have something against it, then come out and be public and say, here's why I don't want it. Don't bring up something from 1990 that has been thrown in the garbage already from the LAPD, because that is a farce. So if you have it, then be professional, because you're dealing with the city now. You're dealing with the future. Come up and state, here are the reasons why I think this is a bad idea. And that way, then we know where you stand and all. Don't hide behind it, and don't sit there numb like, what's going on? Come out and say it. So this way we understand where you're coming from. If you have a valid argument against it, let us hear it. Whether or not I don't need it, I don't use it anymore, but I've seen it in purpose and all, and it's something that people honestly need. Whether it's here or they have to go across to the Publix in Seminole, it's not going to make much of a difference. But the point is now that you're legislators, this is something that you do for the people. You don't want something, like Terry says, I'm voting no, I want to understand why. We'd like to understand why you vote no for this, that's all. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Public comment is now closed. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Douthat?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes. Under new business, we have city's public risk management designation. Mr. Pierce.
What this is every city is, our insurance company is Public Risk Management, PRM of Florida, Property and Casualty. They handle our employee health and medical, and every city or town that has them is part of the board and making decisions as far as how much to commit to percentage increase each year, or how much to put in a pool to cushion against significant increases in insurance. And I guess we're just recommending that I be designated to serve as the city's representative, and on that board of directors, and that Patrick Cady, my accounting manager, also be an alternate. Again, this is an important board that makes decisions on what percentage our employee benefits will end up being, and the determination of that, and all the detail information that goes with that.
Any discussion from the board?
Can you tell me if our employee benefits were frozen for the past 5 years? Do we have multi-year contracts with this, with our health provider that you know
of? Nothing's been frozen. We experienced probably, I think it was like a 4% increase that we put into this budget. So it wasn't anything. It wasn't any significant increase.
Okay, work on that. When you get on that board, I want you to tell them that we need to freeze it for a period of 5 years. You know, they need to put a number down and freeze it at that number. See if you can get that done for the city.
It sounds like a really good idea, but I doubt it's going to happen.
I wouldn't have brought it up. I thought we were frozen at a specific level. I really did. You're telling me we've never been frozen at any level.
We've experienced increases the last couple of years. I hope you're not confused with our Our property insurance, we've had a 2-year contract with our property insurance, and we're at the end of that.
Don't call me confused now, just because I've been questioning you tonight, okay?
I'm sorry, I take that back.
I'm kidding, Walter. That's fine.
Our
Again,
property insurance.
I don't go over our insurance policies, but I do know that there was at least one, and I thought it had to do with our employees. Okay, again, I
Our
may be
property
wrong.
insurance had a 2-year contract, so that was frozen
Yeah,
to some extent.
I think this was longer. I think it was 4 to 5 years, but I'll go, again, I was reminiscing through a lot of my paperwork, and I'll see if I can find something on that.
You said that health insurance went up 4% this year?
I think it was right about that. I'm not, you know, it was in the 4 or 5 range. We actually thought it was going to be closer to 10, which it wasn't. But we don't know what to expect, you know, next year.
I know we gave our employees a 4% raise, so that's good. But they don't pay the health insurance anyway. It's a 100% payment from the city, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any more discussion from the board or staff?
Do we need to do anything with this I mean, do you agree with it? Do we just need consensus?
No, there needs to be a motion to appoint.
I make a motion that we appoint.
Well, sorry.
Walter
Okay.
Pierce as the city's public risk management designation.
And Patrick Cady as the alternate.
And Patrick as
Cady.
Cahey as the alternate.
Second.
All right, yes, the floor is now open for public comment.
Steve Kochick, 15301 2nd Street, East Madeira Beach. I think if you look at your city charter, you aren't allowed to do that. That's the job of the city manager because that has to do with city administration and city policies and all. This isn't something that you appoint. Now, if you're not going to put in a city manager, you're not going to try to find one, and you're going to try to weasel around the charter by doing these things, at least read the charter so that you can defend yourself. Because obviously, you're looking here with that look of, uh-oh, what do we do? There's only one person who's going, oh, my God, he found out. He's here. I wish he'd go away. You can ask your city attorney whether or not this is interfering with a job that the city manager should be doing. This is his purveyance. It's administration of the city. It's not the Board of Commissioners' job to appoint somebody like this. Thank you.
Commissioners, my predecessor served on this committee for several years. He had Patrick involved as more than him, but it was something that the city manager designated to the finance director.
So in other words, we don't have to vote on it. It's just.
You don't. I mean, this is a confirmation. I mean, if the city manager has already appointed him, the way I understood it from this is a confirmation.
So we don't have to vote on it then?
Not
Are
necessarily.
you just looking for a consensus?
He's looking for confirmation from the commission. Whether or not you confirm it or not, he's going to be the designee, but he's looking for confirmation. Is my understanding from the memo that was submitted?
Right.
Is that
Well,
correct?
Let's finish with public
So
comment.
was that Daryl that did that, or Dave? Daryl.
I had taken care of that, sir.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Public comment is now closed. So instead of a motion, we'll just get a consensus?
You can do it either way. You can do it either way.
No consensus.
It's fine. Okay.
If it's consensus, it needs to be done by verbal consensus.
All right.
From each member of the commission.
That's an affirmative from me.
Affirmative from me.
Okay.
And affirmative for me as well. Next on the agenda is the city attorney position. The board has interviewed 2 candidates for the position. The 2 candidates are Regina Kardash and Ralph Brooks. Any discussion from the board?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. Both of them were very good. I feel like this is something that we should put into a workshop to sit down and discuss. There's questions still, and I just don't feel like at this time to make an appointment to anybody without some of these questions being taken care of. So my thoughts are we put this to a workshop. It can be an evening workshop, an afternoon workshop, preferably probably evening because Commissioner Lister probably needs the afternoon at work. So that would be my suggestion.
I know, I thought we asked questions at the workshop when we interviewed them.
We asked questions that were given to us, but then other questions have come up, and I have some
We were
more
allowed
questions.
to, you asked other questions.
Right. But I feel like, we still need to discuss this a little bit further instead of jumping ahead and giving someone this position. I feel like, everything we're doing is hurry up, do it. And then, just like Daryl, now he can't. So I think we need to sit down and really think about this and give it some more serious thought before we make a final decision.
Well, perhaps we should put it on the next workshop then.
So we're going to table it? You don't
Yes.
need my input, okay?
I don't think we should. I think we should vote on it. I mean, I asked everything I was going to ask. I have nothing left to ask.
I mean, I personally think I'm ready to vote on that.
Well, someone can certainly make a motion to table it.
I just
and you
did.
can vote on that.
And I'll second
Okay,
it.
so that was a motion to
That was a
table.
motion.
Okay. And we have a second from Commissioner Hodges.
All right. I guess now the floor is open to the public.
Hi, good evening. I'm one of the candidates, Ralph Brooks, attorney, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm here and available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this an appropriate time, Nancy, to ask your questions?
I can ask the questions if you want me to, but I felt like a workshop would be better to sit down and discuss it among us to see how we feel. If you don't want to do it, I'll go ahead and ask my questions now.
We do have a
I think
motion.
we should table it.
Yeah, we have a
Table.
motion pending, so,
Yeah.
and I believe there's
My
additional.
motion is to table it, so let's vote on that.
All right, well, we still have more public comment. Go ahead.
Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore. I agree with Commissioner Hodges because I was here for that work session when you were questioning the attorneys. And basically what was done is you asked the same question of each attorney the same way. I would imagine that there's other things other than that meeting that you would come up with or thought about that really addresses the problems or whatever within the city. And I think one session and then going into this is, I think there's a lot more answers to be had before you make a choice. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Public comment is now closed. We have a motion to table. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges?
Okay, before I answer, we're discussing whether or not we want to table it. Is that what you're? Yes, I want to table it.
Commissioner Oakley?
No.
Vice Mayor Douthat?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
No. All right, at this point, the motion has been tabled.
So, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor, do we need a time set on that?
If it's going to be put on the next workshop agenda, you can put it on the next workshop agenda. It'll just be tabled into the next BOC meeting.
The next workshop is the 28th of November.
So it'll be workshopped then, and then it'll be put on the agenda for the next BOC meeting.
Can we do a special workshop to get this moving along? We need to get it done. Maggie?
If you end up doing a special workshop, then you end up
Have to have
doing
a special meeting.
meeting. So I would just wait till the 28th because of the holidays and all that, and just.
Yeah, I hate putting it off, but I think that's what we have to do.
Okay, so for clarification, it'll be discussed at the next regular workshop, and then it'll be put on the BOC agenda for the next regular meeting.
Correct.
Perfect.
I don't know. In all fairness, we had two candidates. Let's just talk here. We had two candidates come up and want to be our city attorney, and that was just, that's terrible. That we can only get two people to come out and decide whether they want to work. And thank you, Regina. She has prior commitments on Tuesday. So she's not going to be able to make our meetings on Tuesdays, and She wanted, you know, a retainer that was almost twice what we were paying. And Mr. Brooks, you know, he wants to put a cubicle in City Hall. So from those two that we had to choose from, I wasn't going to choose either one of them, personally. I just tabled it so we can discuss it a little more. But I can't talk to you guys out of this meeting. I never talk to you guys, ever. I don't call you. I don't see you. I mean, I see you at the Seafood Festival. How are you doing, Madam Mayor? But this is, you know, stuff we need to talk about. I respect these two individuals, and I think another month of their time is just crazy. I'm not going to vote for Mr. Brooks, and I'm not going to vote for Regina, because Regina's too high, and Mr. Brooks wants to put a cubicle inside City Hall, and that's no disrespect to you, Mr. Brooks. Don't misinterpret that you, because I think it'd be great. I'd always have a city attorney right here. I could come up and say hi to you. That being said, I think it was the fact that you said that, you know, if I get sick, God forbid, I'll call a buddy up and they'll come in and sit in for the meetings. There were several things. There were several things that happened that made me feel these two candidates weren't right for the job. And it's a shame that the city of Madeira Beach can't get more than 2 candidates for the city. And certainly when we put out the RFQs, we need to put Tuesdays. They need to be here on Tuesdays. That's a pretty big deal. That's a big deal. You know, that should have been in the RFQ. I don't know. Who would put an RFQ out for a city attorney and not put, you got to be here on Tuesdays? When Regina said that the other day, blew me away. Absolutely, just flabbergasted. I almost wanted to slam my coffee again, just because, you know, that's crazy. What are we doing here? We're not giving them what they need to get the job. Both of you. I apologize. I'm just going to say it. I've been talking way too much tonight, but you know, we can table this, which we already did. We already voted on it, and thank you, John, for gathering in. But when we discuss it at the workshop, this was what I was going to say. So, like Nancy said, why kick the can down the road? Let's get it out there. We need an RFQ that goes out and says specifically what we need and when we need it, and get a city attorney in here. You know, I'm not sure, and I know we don't have a lot of time tonight, but you know, Erica's a good city attorney. And, you know, she decided that she didn't want to put her resume in, and that's fine. But I need a better pool of people to choose from, and that's nothing against you two out here, and certainly nothing against you, Erica. But I think that if the city were a good place to work, we would have several more applications, and for us not to have that distresses me. I'll shut up.
All right, excuse me. Next on the agenda is the city manager position. I think Darrell has already explained where he's coming from and why he did what he did do. Darrell is, well, let's just say we need to hire an interim city manager. So I would like to see if there's any discussion on the board.
I'd like to make a motion to put Darrell in as the interim city manager until we get one.
Not a chance.
He's done a good job since he's been in there, and
seriously,
I appreciated everything.
Seriously, you're going to go there? Really? I just feel like interrupting you. I am so sorry, Nancy. I usually don't interrupt you, but when you say something like that, that's absolutely crazy. You would say that. He's done a good job as interim city manager. The only reason he is interim city manager is because of the money. That's exactly why he wanted the job. That's exactly why you gave him $125,000 with an automatic raise to $135,000 in 6 months. When he decided that he couldn't make the money that he was making at $92,000 for the fire chief, I don't want it anymore. That's for the money. When anybody works for the city for the money, I don't want them. I do not want you working here if you're working here for the money. I really don't.
What I would like to recommend is that we go back to the senior advisors and bring the senior advisors in as an interim city manager while we look at applications and go out and look for somebody.
Why don't we just get the applications from Treasure Island? They already paid the money to get them.
You can't do that. You can't do that. That's not
like
right.
public record. We can get them.
And who's going to pay for the recruiter?
And are you saying that Bob Mining and the other commissioners in Treasure Island said that there wasn't a good pool of people to choose from? You don't believe them when they said that? You don't think they went over those resumes and decided that was a good or a bad pool? But they're good enough for Madeira Beach is what you're saying.
No,
that is a problem here, folks. That is a major problem here.
The problem is we need an interim city manager. We can go out and we can do what Treasure Island did, was spend $25,000 and get a headhunter.
Madeira Beach did that, Madam Mayor. Madeira Beach paid $25,000 to find Shane Crawford. You need to hire Shane Crawford back and get this city back on track, period.
That's not going to happen.
As I was saying, I believe that we need to have a city manager, and we probably need to go out and get a headhunter for $25,000. That's going to take some time.
It's going to take 6 months.
That is time, all right? So it's going to take time. In the interim, we need an interim city manager.
And Madam Mayor, it is going to take some time to find a city manager because,
absolutely,
while we need to have someone in here sooner than later, we also need to make sure that we've got the right person that's available for the position. I just returned from an ICMA leadership conference there in Virginia and discussed this topic with about 25 other city managers and professionals in that area. And they said there is candidates available out there. And the fact of the matter is we just have to get the word out there and get that done. You can actually put a posting through the ICMA website for much less than the cost of a headhunter coming in here. While I would not recommend calling Treasure Island specifically and saying, hey, we want to take your people, if you advertise those in an open forum, so anybody that's available who wants to apply for those positions would be eligible for those positions. I think you do have some opportunities there that would reduce your cost. So we're not paying the $25,000 that we pay.
And we may not have to.
That's what I'm saying.
And we can go out to the range rangers or whatever they're called.
Senior advisors.
Senior advisors. I got to write that down.
Yeah. And basically what you're going to have to do is, last time we talked to Mr. Hunter, he said it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks to get someone in here to do it. So what my recommendation would be at this time is leave Darrell Neal in as the interim until we can get the senior advisors in here. And then, the good side on that is they've got no dog in the fight, when the applications come in, because they don't want the job, So they can screen them and go through them and give us their recommendations, and then we can bring them in, interview them, do whatever we need to do to move forward. That would be my recommendation at this point.
I made to put Darrell back in as interim city manager.
No.
Bring back in as interim manager until we can get the senior advisors in, yes.
That's a separate motion. So is there a second on Commissioner Oakley's motion?
Just to put Darrell back in as interim.
You don't have to, I mean, no,
if you want me to amend it and say until we get the senior advisors in, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So is there an amended motion on the table then?
This sounds crazy. I mean, we are the laughing stock at this time of the beaches. Look at what we're doing. This is really crazy. You go from here to here to here to here. Come on, people.
So what's your
use a little
recommendation,
sense.
Nancy?
My recommendation is we advertise it. We advertise for it.
But we have to have somebody in here till...
We've got Mr. Marsicano right here.
He's a very busy man. Darrell has been doing the job and doing it well, in my opinion.
No, wait a minute. Wait. We've been, sorry, Darrell, you're a great fireman.
Thank you.
You're a great fire chief, excuse me. But since April, what have we done? Nothing. We've done nothing.
Actually,
we've had no direction, no guidance. We're going rogue up here. Everyone's doing what they want to do. They don't care about the charter. They don't care about anything else, the handbooks, anything. You're just running off the top of the table with anything you want to do. You don't run a city that way. You need someone with experience to run the city. Dave, I'm sorry. you'd be the next one in line, as far as I'm concerned. You know everything about the city. You know what's happening. You know what's going on. I know you're a busy man, and I'm sorry to put you in that spot, but looks like it's fallen in your lap.
So you're saying put him in until we can get the senior advisors in? Is that what you're saying?
We need someone that gives us direction and guidance, and Dave can do it.
I'm asking you, Nancy, for how long? I mean, if it takes
until we find someone to take over the position.
So that could
We're
be
not just going to hop in there in 2 weeks and put someone else in there. We're not going to do that in 2 weeks.
I'm just saying, that's what the senior advisors do all over the state of Florida. They go into cities and take over as interim manager and then help the city recruit and a new city manager. That's their job. That's their whole existence. And they're all previous city managers that are retired.
And who's going to continue this, make sure that the business of the city goes on a daily basis until that man arrives here?
That's what I was saying. You know, if you would take it until that position, until that time, and that's going to be, like I said, 2 to 3 weeks, is what they told us last time, before they can get someone in. And I'm assuming it would still be just 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not 100% sure. You know, be having to talk to them.
And for clarification, right now, Mr. Marsicano is for all intents and purposes, is the city manager since the city manager has resigned. So he's already filling that position as of today.
Council, I will tell you that if Darrell is not named the interim, you have my resignation tonight. He has provided leadership. Everybody is reporting to him. And to switch to somebody else at this point in time doesn't make any sense.
Didn't make any sense the first time.
I agree.
The only response that I would have back to that, talking about providing leadership and direction, we just had a workshop yesterday that was designed strictly for setting up the goals and objectives for this city.
It wasn't advertised.
Yes, sir, you did have that information. I'm sorry. Yes, sir, you did have that. Actually, you got phone calls and you got emails on that, sir.
You might as well break the charter again.
You know, sir, I respectfully remind you that you got emails.
Are you the fire chief or are you the city manager? What's your official capacity speaking right now?
I am your fire chief.
Sorry. You need to go over across the street, chief. Now.
That's not your position, Chief? Sir. That's not your position. I'm sorry.
You're not the city manager?
No, sir.
I don't need you speaking at this meeting.
Thank you.
Everyone is allowed to speak. Would you like to finish? Chief, would you like to finish?
Oh. I'm sorry. What I was just trying to get across was we actually set up that meeting yesterday to try to get some direction for this city. It was unfortunate that it wasn't better attended. I was very disappointed because, yes, the city does need direction. And if the opportunity became available to be back as the interim city manager, I would only do it with the understanding that we were moving forward to hire a permanent city manager. I think it is definitely needed in the city that we've got some overall direction from the city manager's office. The city has been in disarray for the past 6 months, not because of any of the leadership qualities of the current board, but because of the disarray in the city and the lack of unity here. That would be my comment. Thank you.
Floor is now open for public comment. Yes, sir. No, I'm sorry. Reese is coming up. Speedy's coming.
I'm not sure which microphone we're on. Is this one good? Reese Noren. I'm 363A Medallion Boulevard, Madeira Beach, over the yacht club right here. I promised the wife tonight I would not speak. I'm sorry I'm not home eating dinner and watching this on TV, but I couldn't resist because I feel I want to help, and I don't know how to do it, because this is just not a professional show. For one thing, the only document I have seen as a citizen regarding the resignation of the city manager is dated yesterday. I read in the newspaper that he had resigned at some other time. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't believe anything I read in the newspaper. But everything, to me, it wouldn't pass the legal test, and I'm sorry, I'm not an attorney, so you can disregard that opinion, but it's just not professional, and we're not getting the job done. And I think you may remember I sent you a note when the new commissions just came in March, and I suggested that each one of you state what your vision for the city is. And I think what's missing is exactly that. The vision for the city, as far as the commissioners are concerned, is non-existent. And it shows tonight. It shows every night at every meeting. And it's embarrassing. And also, I love this city. I want to see you succeed. I don't want to see you falter and look foolish by the rest of the standards of the rest of the communities. I want to be proud of my government. I don't want to have to apologize for it. I'm sorry.
Robert Preston, 425 South Bay Shore. You three ran on change, and that's exactly what you've done. You've changed things on a daily basis, on a meeting basis. It's totally dysfunctional the way you three handle this city. And putting Daryl back in after he's flip-flopped, 3 times, is ludicrous. And then I'm wondering why and how much it cost for him to go to the ICMA conference when he was going to resign. Why would you send him to Virginia to go to a conference and he's going to resign? That's a total waste of city's money, and you allowed that to happen. And you continue to waste city's money and time by your decision-making process. You two need to resign. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Steve Kochick, 15301 2nd Street, East Madeira Beach. When you get elected to the board, you're no longer a private citizen. Now you're an elected official that has the welfare of the city at heart. Personal feelings really should be put aside. Right now, you're looking for a professional to come in, get things going, help you to achieve your goals. You each had goals when you got elected, I'm pretty sure. I know when I got elected, I had goals. And I needed someone to put those goals into effect. And that's what you have before you now, is you need someone to put those goals into effect and to be professional. I've said this all the time. The people that are in these chairs, the people that are over here, they work for the city. They're professionals. We're elected. We're citizens. We can bang heads. We can come and go as we please. This is their lives. This is their families' lives. This is not something to be taken lightly. These are careers for them. I'm sure you all had careers at one time, and you try to protect them, and you try to be as professional as possible. And the last thing you wanted was an outsider to come in and tell you how to do things when things were being done right. And for some reason, all of a sudden, people get elected, and they feel that they're going to come in, and they're just going to shake everything up. Well, you did. And now you got a mess. So now what you do, my suggestion would be, because I've been through this before with Commissioner Oakley, And I saw what happened the last time. And that's how we ended up getting Shane. And we paid $30,000 to get Shane. And you want to know something? Human Resources had Shane on her short list. But certain people on the board was so adamant against doing anything that the Human Resources did that they paid to have Shane's list, Shane come on another list. So what I'm saying is step back for a minute and think about the city and the residents and stop thinking about yourselves, because you're embarrassing yourselves and you're making enemies in the city for yourselves. And there's no need to. This should be a great job where you're proud of yourselves, you enjoy being here and all, and you want to do the best. You got a city manager there, work with him for 6 months and see if he is professional. If he cannot impress you, then you have every right to say, you know, we tried it for 6 months and you're not what we're looking for. Would you please start the process of finding a new city manager? And you're going to bring in a stranger that knows nothing about the city. Meanwhile, you got somebody who has all the contracts knowing about it, the jobs that have to be done, all the employees, all the residents, and stop with the lies. If you think that he did something wrong, then go to the state attorney and have him arrested for bribery, because I hear that crap too. He was a good city manager that came in under an adverse condition and moved on. Thank you very much, and please take that into consideration.
Would anyone else like to speak? Public comment is now closed. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Could you, I'm sorry, repeat the motion to me again? I'm sorry. Yeah. Things are crazy.
The motion is to put Daryl in as interim city manager until the board, whatever comes in.
Right. We had tabled it and we made a motion to make Daryl the interim city manager until we get somebody. Put it out there and see who we get.
Whatever the group is.
Yeah, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vice Mayor, the motion was to appoint Daryl as the interim city manager until the senior advisors could come in and serve as interim city managers to start the process. Was that your motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was the motion that was amended and seconded.
Right. Commissioner Hodges?
No.
Commissioner Oakley?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
No.
Vice Mayor Douthat?
Yes.
Mayor Black?
Yes.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, I appreciate your support. With your direction, I will reach out to the senior advisors first thing tomorrow. I'll give them a copy of the job description and get them working toward this process as soon as possible. My goal is not to belabor this situation or to put this off. I think that this needs to be filled as soon as possible. I tell you what, there's nothing worse than feeling unappreciated. Like Walt said, during this whole time, I've only been making the salary of the fire chief because we knew that there was going to be salary considerations with the payout of the past administrations here, and that's why that's occurred. And because of the situation as it is, probably at the next meeting we'll come back and I'll get with Walt and we'll try to figure out what a equitable solution is to that problem. One of your past acting city managers that we had before was getting paid $500 a week. Your last city manager was getting paid about $3,600 a week. So I'm sure we can figure out something in between those two salary ranges, and we'll bring that back for discussion next month. Thank you.
Can I ask a question before we close up here?
Yes, ma'am.
We made Dave deputy interim city manager. Is that how it went?
No, he's deputy.
Just deputy. You're just the deputy.
I'm back to picking up trash and selling gas.
I just wanted to make sure.
It was a great time, though. I enjoyed it, folks.
Just wanted to make sure. That's all. Okay. Thanks, Dave.
We'll pay you accordingly.
And thank you, Daryl, for being willing to step up and continue the position while we're looking. I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's definitely a thankless position.
Next we have reports and correspondence. I just want to really quickly just touch on the fact that we did have the meeting last night with the department heads and the city commission, and it was a strategic planning session, and it was actually a very productive meeting. It was facilitated by Marilyn Crotty from, she was recommended by the Florida League of Cities. She's the director of the University of Central Florida Institute for Government. And the purpose of the meeting was to set goals and objectives for the board and to have a more cohesive board. Unfortunately, Commissioner Lister and Commissioner Hodges did not attend. However, Ms. Crotty will be summarizing the work that was accomplished and distributing it to all the department heads and to these to the commission. And then there will be one more step taken where the commissioners will go over her work and our work during that meeting, and then we will finalize our goals and objectives, and the commissioners, all the commissioners will be able to participate in that project. Any other reports?
You're saying that that meeting will be advertised properly, the one that we're going to do next?
Oh, I'm sure it will be. All right, the meeting is now adjourned at 7:50.
Madam Mayor, you just went to commissioner reports. Did you want me to report?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I did.
Okay, I just didn't know.
Oh,
so are there?
I didn't finish.
So for the city attorney report, Madam Mayor has asked me to give an update on the present litigation. I will say that since the cases have not, with regard to the Carnes property, have not yet been dismissed, but there has been a resolution which was resolved at mediation. There was an order from the appellate court that came down, but that has no bearing on the settlement that's been reached. So the parties are just working right now to get the cases dismissed. Once those are dismissed, then the next step in the process will happen with the development. And then, but as of right now, all those cases have been resolved. We're just pending dismissal. And then that property will come just like the Holton property through the regular channels for approval for site plans, et cetera.
And at what point will we be able to discuss what the mediation was?
At no point.
At no point?
No. The city is not actually a party to the settlement. The parties that were to the settlement were the plaintiffs and the developer. So at this point, the city was not made a party to that settlement. Therefore, that mediation and the settlement agreement, nothing at mediation, that's considered confidential, but the settlement agreement itself, since we're not a party to, will not become public record unless and until that somehow gets submitted through the city, part and parcel to some sort of application. Otherwise, that agreement is not public record.
So am I correct in saying there's only still one lawsuit out there?
None of those lawsuits have been dismissed, so those lawsuits are currently still pending. Okay. And until such time as they are dismissed officially, those lawsuits are all still out there. As far as the one outlier, I believe in speaking with Attorney Salzman, this would remedy all of those lawsuits. Except for one. In my discussion with him today, my understanding was that it remedied all of them. All of the ones dealing with those two properties, with the Holton property and the Carnes property, those would then be resolved.
Wasn't the one lawsuit resolved with?
When we went to mediation, those were to mediate all of the existing lawsuits with regards to those issues. So my understanding from Attorney Salzman and speaking with him was that there would be no, once those are all, they would all be dismissed that have to deal with that subject matter.
I thought the lawsuit about the putting that on the previous petition on the referendum, I thought that was still out there.
My understanding like I said, I can only tell you what I've been told by litigation counsel. My understanding is that this would resolve all of the lawsuits. If you do have a question about the petition case, I would suggest I can certainly contact Attorney Salzman with regards to that and get some clarification for you.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. And that is my report.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any more reports from the commission or staff?
Madam Mayor, I would like to comment just briefly. Yes. Again, thank you, and it's going to be my goal to get this process moved forward as quickly as possible to get some stability back into our city system. When you say nothing's occurred during the past 6 months, I would like to bring up just that, the two settlement agreements for the legal suits. You know, if you remember, the one legal suit was proposed at almost $300,000, and we negotiated that down to $135,000 with the pending resolution of this current lawsuit. Is literally, at your direction and in the city attorney's direction, is literally going to save the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think that alone speaks well for the city government at this time. So again, I appreciate your support, and I will get that information processed and get it out as soon as possible. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just one comment. We have the second reading of that budget amendment on the 28th at 6 o'clock. That's a public hearing.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, isn't that 28 the?
28th is also the date of, there's
I thought
also
that was a workshop.
Yes.
So we're going to have a second reading on that at a workshop? Okay, I'm with you now. Thank you.
Meeting is now adjourned at 7:57.